Good afternoon, Victory Heights, and welcome to our next instalment of the VHPS Talks webinars. I'm Mr. Rob. I'm the Assistant Head Teacher at Victory Heights Primary School, and I'll be leading today alongside Miss Mirna our VHPS Arabic webinar. So I believe Miss Mirna is with us backstage. She's our head of the Arabic department. Hi, Miss Mirna.
Hello, marhaba, Mr. Rob. How are you?
Yeah, I'm brilliant. Thank you for asking. So between myself and Miss Mirna today, we're going to be going through what Arabic looks like for both Arabic A and Arabic B students at Victory Heights Primary School. The way we're going to lead the session is I'm going to be asking some questions that perhaps may come from a parent's perspective, and Miss Mirna, as our head of Arabic, she will be answering those questions. At the end, there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions, and we'll also cover some frequently asked questions as well. So hopefully we'll give you all the information that you are looking for today. So to start things off, I'm going to introduce you to the Arabic A team. So here you can see the different teachers involved in the Arabic A team. We have Miss Jumana, who's been with us for a number of years now. She's working closely with Year 2 and Year 3 Arabic A students only. We have a new member to the team. So last year we didn't have any males in the Arabic department, but this year we have 2 new male members of staff. So Mr. Ahmed, he's working with Year 4, 5 and 6 Arabic A only. And then also, if you did attend the webinar last year, you'll remember that for the first time at Victory Heights, we took on some new Arabic class assistants, which were Miss Dina and Miss Christine. They continued to work with us this year. And both of them have made a huge impact to Arabic A department, and Miss Christine is showing a willingness to complete an MPQ, so she's trying to push herself towards teaching, so that gives extra support in our Arabic A teams. With regards to the Arabic B team, here we have Miss Rola, Mr. Hossam, who is also a new member of staff, Miss Fatma, Miss Saba, and Miss Samaya, who works with the FS2 team. Miss Saba's currently not working with us at the moment. She has been on maternity leave, but she'll be rejoining us from Monday. So we do wish Miss Saba a welcome return from Monday the 26th. So for those of you who have students in Arabic B, they will be covered by one of the teachers who are currently presenting here now. Okay, on to some questions. So, Miss Mirna, a question I often get asked, and I'm sure you'll be able to give us the answer, is what is the difference between Arabic A and Arabic B, and how do I know if my child should be studying Arabic A or Arabic B?
Well, we use the term Arabic A to represent the children who are native Arabic speakers, and like usually they are registered in the school with their Arabic nationality passport. So they hold one of the Arab countries' nationalities, and they are registered with that. We have some cases where children are Arabs, they speak Arabic, but they are registered with their foreign passport. Maybe they got an American passport or Canadian. So if they speak Arabic, they are still joining the Arabic A class. Now for Arabic B, it's for foreigners, for students who are learning Arabic as a second language, which is Arabic not their mother tongue. They don't speak it at home, or it has nothing to do with their nationality.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks for confirming that, Miss Mirna. Okay, so next up, it'd be nice to know about curriculum coverage. I know as parents, they were introduced to their classroom teachers recently in our classroom Meet the Teacher meet and greets, and perhaps the class timetable was shared with the parents in that, and they may have seen different Arabic slots. Please, could you just explain how we decide how many Arabic lessons take place and how many take place for Arabic A or Arabic B?
Yeah, as a start, I need to clarify that Arabic is compulsory. So if you're not a native Arabic speaker, it doesn't mean you can skip Arabic. All children should learn Arabic, but the difference is in numbers of lessons between Arabic A and Arabic B, the native speakers and non-native speakers. So as per KHDA or Ministry of Education requirements, all foreigners, like non-native speakers, should have 4 lessons a week for 40 minutes. So 4 40-minute sessions per week. and that has to start from year 2. So every child from year 2 to 6 has to learn Arabic 4 times a week. Now, for Arabs, native Arabic speakers, it's difference between year 2, 3, 4. So 2, 3, 4, they have to attend 6 lessons, 40 minutes each per week. Year 5 and 6, they have to do 5 lessons, 40 sessions, like 40 minutes the session. Per week. But this year we did some changes, so you can talk about the lessons if you wish, Mr. Rob.
Yeah, could I just ask one question? Perhaps it answers here with regards to the FS and year 1 students, because on the last slide it didn't show FS and year 1. So could you just explain what would happen if I had a child in FS or year 1?
Yeah, I didn't talk about FS and year 1 yet because it's not compulsory, and the school is promoting Arabic because we embrace the culture. We want to support children to get familiar with the language, give them the opportunity to learn. So we are providing 2 lessons in FS2, and in year 1 we have 2 lessons for Arabic B, like for all students, and an extra lesson for Arabic A children. So an Arabic A children will have 3 lessons in year 1, and Arabic B will have 2 lessons only. And those are
Amazing.
extra lessons because they are not compulsory.
Amazing. And I think something you were about to touch on there, we saw on the last slide, it mentioned with the MOE requirements, the number of minutes that we have to provide. I did notice from being in some of the meet and greets that on some year groups timetables, instead of having 6 slots of 40 minutes, I did see some 1-hour sessions. Could you just explain the process for that?
Yes. So we have noticed that 40 minutes is not enough for a proper Arabic lesson, especially with the higher groups where the expectations are high. They need to read paragraphs, to write paragraphs. So they need longer minutes to finish their work. So we decided to have one session longer than 40 minutes. We merged 2 lessons. So 1 time or 2 times per week, they will have the 60 minutes lesson instead of the 40 minutes. But the total of minutes will remain the same. But instead of having 4 lessons, 40 minutes, we're having 3 lessons a week with longer time.
Amazing. Sounds great. Thank you, Ms. Mirna. Okay, here's a good question. So I know at Victory Heights, we have lots and lots of nationalities from all over the globe, but also lots from the different Arab countries. Please, could you just discuss, Miss Mirna, what Arab dialect is taught at Victory Heights Primary School, and perhaps why we go with that one as well?
Yeah. As you said, we have different nationalities and each speak different dialect. So although we are all Arabs, even in the Arabic like the Arabic team, the teachers, we have different nationalities and each speak different dialect. But what is in common is the standard Arabic language, the classical Arabic that we all learn at school. We read books in the classical Arabic. We don't use it often in speaking because we speak the slang language, the spoken language, which is different, slightly different from the standard. And the requirement is to teach the standard Arabic so everyone can understand, and we will help children in the future be able to read and write because this is the language used in the formal communication, like newspaper, books, news, standard Arabic. Although sometimes, like, we allow children to use their language to express themselves, and we help them correct that dialect to transform it to the standard Arabic.
Just a question I'm thinking of here, Miss Mirna. If I had a child who had previously been registered as a student at another Dubai school, and then they transferred to Victory Heights, would that be the same dialect taught at their previous school coming here? So is it consistent across Dubai?
Yes, I assume that it's because it's a requirement. So all schools should be teaching the standard Arabic. So wherever they go, they should continue learning the same way with the standard Arabic.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, now obviously with the role I'm in as assistant head teacher, there are times where we may have requests for exemption from Arabic. They're rare, but they do occur. Please, could you just explain to us where the Arabic department stance are and also perhaps from a KHDA perspective in returns to Arabic exemption?
Yeah, we have experienced in the past some cases where children had learning difficulties in terms of acquiring a new language or memorizing words. Like they struggle with the main core subjects, so learning another language is overwhelming for them because they have a medical reason and they have documents for that. Like they have doctor reports saying that they should stick to one language and it's better for their progress and education to stick to one language. So the parents of those children applied to an exemption. There is a specific form they have to fill and attach it with a lot of documents to ask for KHDA approval. So this exemption is subject to approval from KHDA. We don't have the choice. Like we, as a school, we cannot make that decision to tell a child not to learn Arabic. So that comes from KHTA. That sometimes parents think like my child is not good at Arabic, and we think it's a waste of time. We don't want them to do Arabic. They cannot get exemption for that. It has to be like a case where doctors or specialists recommended that they don't do Arabic, and they provide them with official documents to do that.
Thank you for clarifying that, Ms. Mirna.
You're welcome.
Okay, right. Now I'm interested in terms of the curriculum to understand what my child would be learning through Arabic, either Arabic A and Arabic B, and what those curriculum expectations are, and also how the Arabic curriculum is built. So how do you decide as head of Arabic what is covered in the lessons?
Okay, so for Arabic A, we have the ministry books, we have the end of year expectations, the objectives, and the ministry books. The ministry books should support the objectives given by the Ministry of Education. And those books, we use them as resources, like we choose text from them, sometimes we choose activities, but most of the time we need to do modification for those texts because those books are designed for native Arabic speakers who live in like a very Arab community. Like Arabic is their first language, is the language of instruction in the school, like mostly in the government schools where Arabic is spoken all the time. But for our children in the school, they have Arabic once a week and they don't speak Arabic all the time. So those texts are really difficult and challenging for them. So we need to do modification. We choose what is convenient and we adapt some of the text to make sure that we are covering the expectations and we are meeting the needs of the children. So this is for Arabic A. And we have now, we just received today the codes for the books. So for parents who are interested in having a look at that book, we will share the codes with them so they can go online and check the books and the activities. They're all the Arabic books that the school purchased for them. For Arabic B, it's almost the same. Like we have the framework, we have objectives we need to cover, we have topics that children should learn about. Plus, we have books, but we don't use those books for the same reason that they are above the expectation, above the abilities of our children, not only in our school, like it's for all schools in Dubai, but we choose what is convenient and we adapt all the time. So we care a lot about what the children needs and how we can support them in their learning. So we choose the resources that help them learn better.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so how about in terms of curriculum expectations? How would my child know that they're achieving or being successful within an Arabic lesson?
Well, the expectations should cover the 4 skills: listening, understanding, listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So we have to help them understand Arabic, express themselves in Arabic, in speaking and in writing. They need to be able to read and decode words. The expectations are like different in levels according to the years of study for Arabic B children or the age expectations for Arabic A. So let's say a year 2 child in Arabic A is expected to read some letters, and a year 6 child Arabic A is expected to read a full text, answer comprehension questions, and write uh, like another text. So the expectations are different, but still we need to do listening, speaking, reading, writing. But overall, like in Victory Heights, we aim to make children use Arabic as a language of communication so they can express themselves, express their feelings, their ideas using the language they are learning in the school.
Yeah, perfect. So we cover the 4 different skills, and we equally challenge. It's just the challenge is there to meet the needs of the child, depending if the Arabic
True.
are. Brilliant. Okay, assessment. So I realized or noticed recently that at the beginning of the year we did some internal assessments. Could you just run through what those were and any upcoming assessments that might be taking place either internally or as an external assessment that I perhaps can support my child with throughout this year?
Yes. So at the beginning, you have introduced the Arabic A team teachers, and you said they teach like year what year groups, but we didn't show that for Arabic B, and that's for a reason, because we are doing our baseline assessment or placement assessment. So we do that for Arabic B children at the beginning of the year to see what is their level, what is their need, where they are at this point of the year, and we design the lessons, the plans, the term objectives based on their needs and where they need to get to. And we split the classes into different levels. After we do that, we will have specific teachers for each group. Sorry, I'm not talking about assessments because I need to mention that next week, Arabic B teachers will be able to send a message on CISO to introduce themselves to the parents, because we will know then who's the Arabic teacher teaching every child. So they know who is the teacher and they can communicate with them. Back to the assessments. So at the beginning of the year, we do the baseline assessments to know the level of the children. And then we do the same assessment at the end of the year to see the progress they have made and the objective they covered during the year. Also, we do an external assessment provided by ABT company. And this is a requirement from KHDA that all schools should do an external assessment because it has to be compared to other schools and other students in different schools. We did this external assessment last year at the end of the year for some year groups, and we will do it again at the end of this year for year 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
So those are the formal assessments, like the summative assessment we are doing. But we continue to do like the day-to-day assessment to make sure that the children are making progress during lessons. We know what they need, so we can adapt our planning to meet their skills or the support they need, the challenge they need. We do that in every lesson. We check every task they do, and based on that, we can modify the planning in the resources.
Amazing. Thank you for clarifying.
Afwan.
Okay, so obviously we do have some homework that is shared by our classroom teachers in the main school. How about with Arabic? Are there any homework expectations, or is homework shared?
Like, we understand that most parents are not able to support their children at home if they have an Arabic homework because they don't speak Arabic. Therefore, we're not putting that pressure on them. However, we would like children to get involved in some fun projects at the end of each term, so they can, for example, take pictures for themselves when they go for a holiday and try to express, like, say one sentence, one paragraph about each photo. This is just an example of projects, like they are fun projects and some of the children enjoy doing them. So we provide that opportunity to them. And this is like termly project, not on a weekly basis. But for Arabic A, because it's their first language and the expectations are higher than Arabic B, and we want to help them improve, like we want to make them practice the language more, we send a weekly homework with some reading tasks, and they have to do the reading. They can do it with their families. The We use I Read Arabic platform, which is an online digital library, and the teacher chooses a book for every week, like fun books. Children can read at home, and then when they come back at the beginning of the week, the teacher will ask them questions about they have read, and they can share ideas or new vocabulary they have learned in that book. Sometimes they have to do writing or spelling practice. So the Arabic A homework is compulsory every week at the end of the week. If Like, we post everything the children have to do on CISO. Some parents are willing to do extra effort, like they want to help their children at home, so they can always check CISO and see what is posted there, so they can ask their children about it. They can review it with them. They can test them on the progress they are making. So it's always a very good idea to review what is posted on CISO and go through it.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Do you have other questions for me?
Well, here's one coming up. How about in terms of communication? So obviously at Victory Heights, I can see there it is the first bullet point. We try to encourage parents to communicate through CISO as the first point of call. Is that the same for Arabic? Obviously, with it being a specialist subject, do we expect the same in terms of lines of communication?
Yes, definitely. So we have the same system that the school follow. We follow the same. So the first communication system we use is CISO. It's a direct communication between the teacher and the parents. If they have any requirements, any requests, they can send a message for the teacher, especially when they know who is the Arabic B teacher. They can communicate with them. If they have an urgent matter and they prefer to have a quick response, they can send an email, and they can always arrange for Zoom meetings with the Arabic teacher. And also now, gladly, we can do the face-to-face meetings. So if the parents prefer to come to the school and see the teacher, they can contact them and arrange for a convenient time for both. Um, Talking about that, we will have a meeting with Arabic A parents coming soon. So we will share details with them, because I'm sure this webinar is just the start, and there are a lot of things they need to explore in details. So we will have more answers for them in the next few weeks.
Sounds amazing. Thank you, Ms. Mirna. So I think that sort of clarifies this slide as well that you've mentioned there, that there will be upcoming opportunities like the Arabic A Meet the Teacher. I know we were discussing earlier, Ms. Mirna, about other opportunities for parents and how we can involve parents moving forwards, perhaps with some reading opportunities as well. Perhaps you might want to share some of that to see if we have any parents watching who might be interested in supporting that program.
Yes, that would be amazing. We want parents to be involved. You know, we have the cultural center here. It's where the Arabic A lesson happens. It's a very nice environment where children enjoy learning Arabic, and it would be great if parents, like, if they have time and they are willing to support and join our reading sessions. We will share with them forms to fill, and then we can arrange with them to come some days and have reading activities with the children. Everything will be arranged, and we would like to hear from them, so we will share more details about that. And we are so excited to see parents back to the building and see them around the school more.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's a lovely cultural centre. I think Mr. Raphael is moving on. Oh, I think
Yeah,
I
so if
missed.
anyone has a question now, they can put it in the chatting box.
If not, in the meantime, we could potentially. Well, obviously, these are what other ways you can support at home. I think the big one that we'd love to see is just increased opportunities for students speaking at home and increasing those opportunities. Even if it's Arabic B families, just having those short communications. We do live in an Arab country. It's obviously nice for us to adopt the local dialect. So perhaps even getting your children to discuss with you, they can bring their learning home and they can improve your learning. They can become the teacher role and sharing what they've been doing in school. And then there are all ways that we can learn. And for Arabic A families, the more exposure they get to speak in Arabic, the better performance and the better progress we see in the lessons. Another big thing that Miss Mirna has often discussed with myself would be in relation to reading. I know lots of families in school, we do lots of reading at home, and it's one of Miss Sasha, our principal's real passions is for reading. And we'd love to see students reading Arabic books as well as our more curriculum-based books or books they might more traditionally find in the library, and just seeing as much support as possible in that way. So anything extra you are able to do at home and encourage at home, it all builds a positive mindset for the Arabic department, and it helps the students to make progress. Just while we're seeing if any questions do come through the live chat, I think we do have some frequently asked questions. I think it's just one more slide. Here we go. So I'll ask some of these to you, Miss Berner, and perhaps you can support. So how can I meet my son's teacher to discuss his progress?
Well, you can use any of the communication channels we posted before. So the first step is to send a message to the Arabic teacher on CISO asking for a meeting, and they can arrange, because every teacher has a different timetable. Based on their availability, they will get back to the parents and arrange for that. If parents want to do that through the phone, they can also arrange with the teacher, and she will call them or he will call them when it's convenient.
Yeah, and the next one, obviously, at Victory Heights, we don't usually send children's books home. With Arabic, do they have an Arabic book, or do they use Seesaw only, or how does it work for Arabic?
Yes, if you mean the exercise book where they write their answers and their writing pieces, yes, they have, and it's kept in the classroom because we had an experience in the past, because children move from their form, like their classroom, original one, to go to their Arabic classroom, and they tend to forget their books. So we have a system now that at the end of the lesson, they keep their book there to find it the next time they have a lesson. Anyway, if the parents wish to see their children's work, they can ask for it, and we will send it home anytime they want that.
Amazing. Here's a question that we've come across before. It says, my daughter struggles in Arabic A classes and wants to move to Arabic B. Is that possible?
Well, if she holds an Arab passport with an Arab nationality, this is not something we decide. So she has to be in the in Arabic A class. However, in very rare conditions, like we had some cases where the child doesn't speak Arabic at all, and the parents don't speak Arabic at all, but they have the passport for some reason. We decided, and we took that, like we made the risk to decide that it's better for the child to be in Arabic B because they will learn better. They will have less expectations. It's structured in a way it will help them understand, because the language of instructions is English and they can understand it better than the Arabic A class. But those are very few rare cases that we made the decision to move someone from A to B. But it's not something we can do or parents can ask for.
Okay, and similarly, but perhaps we've got a question here. Okay, so we've got a question here. It says, which is similar to the one I was going to mention. If my child starts Arabic A, then they want to Arabic B, sorry, and want to transfer to Arabic A, is that possible?
Well, if they start in Arabic B, that means they have the passport to learn Arabic as a foreign language. So if they are, like, we have some children that they are not native Arabic speakers, but they are interested in Arabic. They try to learn Arabic. They are making the effort. So to encourage them, to support them, we are putting them in the Arabic class so they can grasp more vocabulary. They can make more progress in the Arabic A class. So that comes from the children themselves to choose to be in the Arabic A. But if they start in a B class, as you know, the expectations are not the same. So moving back to an Arabic A class will be challenging for them because they will they will have gaps in learning. Let's say the grammar rules, the ability to read, to type of text they have learned. The vocabulary in Arabic B is limited. As for Arabic A, it's wide. It's the language of the person. It's their language. They know it already, but at school they learn how to make it better, how to fix it, how to enrich that language. As for Arabic B, they don't know anything, but they are learning some vocabulary at school and they are learning how to use these words. So, but if the child is qualified, has the ability to be in Arabic A, we will do that. I think in Victory Heights, all what we care about is what the child needs, what is the best place for them to learn, and we decide accordingly. So we're not so strict in terms of following the rules because we have to follow the rules. We do what is best for the child.
Yeah, sounds great. And then one last question I can see here that perhaps you've had before. It says, what is the best and most effective way to encourage my children to speak Arabic at home?
Well, I think if the parents communicate with their children, if they are Arabic age, if they use the language to communicate, I don't think there will be a problem with the children. They will take some time because they are used to have long hours at the school using English. It's their, like, the dominant language in their life, and they get used to speak English. They need something equivalent, like to make the balance. The time they spend speaking English, they need same time at home speaking Arabic. They stop speaking Arabic when they are embarrassed, shy, or they don't find the words to speak. So we can always play games, encourage them, tell them how important the language is to make them feel proud because they know Arabic.
Sounds great.
It's something extra you do. Like, you speak English, everybody speaks English. So what is the next level for someone is to learn a new language.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, I don't believe we've had any other questions come through. That doesn't mean that perhaps you might not have a question. If you do have any questions following this webinar, or perhaps you're watching this webinar at a later date, then you can always forward them to myself, or you can forward them for a better answer. Go straight to Miss Mirna as the head of Arabic. You can see at the bottom there that Miss Mirna's email address has been shared. So if you are watching this delayed, you will be able to directly contact Miss Mirna with any questions that you would like to be answered. Other than that, I would just like to thank the parents who did join us today. Oh, we have just had a question come through. So just before we finish, It says, this is week 4 since school started. We didn't receive any messages or emails from Arabic A teacher of year 4 and 6. I think Miss Mirna did cover that within the webinar, but perhaps Miss Mirna, you can just revisit that question.
Yes, because at the beginning we were doing the baseline assessments, so there was no lessons done in classes. This week we started to have lessons, like proper lessons, and all the work will be posted. As for the Arabic A teachers introducing themselves, we will communicate with parents and have like a year group meet the teacher. Like year 6 will have the chance to go on Zoom and meet the Arabic A teacher, or in person. We will make a survey, see what is better for them, and we will communicate that very soon.
Yeah, amazing. As I just mentioned there, Miss Mirna's email address is at the bottom of the page should you have any further questions. And yeah, just a huge thank you from myself just for attending today's session. Hopefully you can share the love for the Arabic language and we can keep hearing students communicating Arabic at home. Miss Mirna, do you have any final messages?
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Roth, for your support today, for your questions, and thanks for all the parents who joined. And I hope we have answered the questions they have. I know we didn't put details, but we starting to contact them and talk about different areas with the coming weeks. So
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for joining us. Take care. Bye-bye.
Ma salama.